Girl, I think you're royalty, and you deserve nothing less than my loyalty. You hold me down, in return you get more of me. That's how it feel when you're someone's priority, babe. Now what you gonna do with that? I know you ain't used to that. I'll show you better, babe. I'll show you better. I know you're used to letdowns and heartbreaks, lost in silhouettes.
It's live once again, once more on Grown Folks Business, and I am your hostess with the mostest, the goddess Sierra. And I tell you what, I am missing the goddess Earlene tonight, but I know on All Hallows Eve she can be quite busy. When I tell you tonight is the night, like Betty Wright, they say, it is not a game. It is really amazing the vibe that I have been getting from women since last week. I'm telling you, it was difficult for me to stay on topic tonight because I've just been getting so many questions in my email and all of that about women wanting to do certain things to men, and I mean, just some really crazy questions. So, ladies, I will tell you that I will put together a show to address these issues, and I don't even know if I am the right person to really address them, because I'm telling you, some of these things that you all want to do are really absurd and outrageous to me. But I think that goes to tonight's show as I talk about manifesting the energy with your sacral chakra, with your yoni, and harnessing the yoni power. Here's the thing, ladies. I don't really know what's going on with your ideology of what manhood is. And I think it's because so many of you have taken on masculine energy that you're not really operating in your femininity. And so in India, they have basically like 36 combination or types of temperaments. And they go by the 4 orders, which are the 4 different types of yonis, the 3 temperaments of a woman, and the 3 kinds of a woman. And so I went over those orders today, and I kept trying to just really base it upon some of the women that I talked to and some of the women that I know, etc. And I'm going to tell you, our femininity is really lacking. There is no more power than what lies in the sacral chakra. It is the most powerful energy that you can imagine. The problem is a lot of humanity utilizes it for just frivolous sex. There's so many other things that you can do. There's healing that you can get from that chakra. There is basically like a force field that's in that sacral chakra that just radiates and emanates healing from the kundalini all over the body. And so any type of ailments that you have or anything like that, this energy is available for you to utilize to gain the power to heal your own body. So many times we're giving out this energy freely to other beings on this planet frivolously without any thought process involved, and we just are transferring this sacred energy. You know, I call S.E.X the sacred energy exchange. And so we do this exchange, which is anybody and everybody, and we don't realize that we're actually becoming a receptacle. And yes, we know that trash cans are receptacles, and so we become a receptacle for these other people's garbage. And so basically you become a walking byproduct of the thing that you transferred energy with. So if they have an entity, it's now become your entity. If it's just like when you go and you find out that you have chlamydia or gonorrhea, that came from the sharing of the energy. You don't get to walk away unscathed. You still got to pick up what they're transferring unto you. We talked about this before on the show, sexually transmitted diseases and also spiritually transmitted diseases. Those things like depression and sadness and guilt and shame. And these things can stay with you for years. But the key is if you utilize your sacral chakra properly, you don't have to worry about continuing from tonight carrying these energies or these entities with you. And so, as we talked about last week, the 4 different orders of the yoni, you have the Padmini, which is the flower. It's the lotus woman. So ladies, you all that have the labia, that's, the labia minora and majora, and you can't really distinguish it. It kind of looks like your yoni is kind of coming out from the inside out. A lot of you are running to get vaginoplasty and letting people tell you that you don't have the proper yoni, but you're a special type of woman when you have this type of yoni. And so you have the yoni, what they call the lotus woman. It's like a flower and it enjoys feeling the rays of the sun. And so you do some of your best work in daylight. Some of your best manifestation will be in the daylight. And so you like the touch of strong hands. And it says that your amrita, which is your love juice, can smell like a newly blossoming lotus flower. Now, here's the thing. A lot of the work that I study is Sanskrit. It comes out of India and Tibet and places like that. And so I've never actually smelled a lotus flower. I simply have seen them and they're very beautiful. So I could imagine what they smell like. And that is just really fragrant and beautiful. Ladies, if you have the Padmini, I don't want to smell it, but I'll take your word for it. And so then we have the Shatrini, which is the fancy woman. And she has a round and soft yoni that's easily lubricated. She doesn't have a lot of pubic hair. And her amrita is exceptionally hot and sweet to the smell and tastes like honey. And so this is, the type of yoni that is very well put together and doesn't really have anything hanging out of it and so on and so forth. I call it like the 12-year-old. And so, not for pedophilia, but it just looks like an untouched yoni. And then you have the Shakini, which is the fairy or the conch woman. And that kind of looks like, what's in the conch shell. And she's always moist and she has a whole lot of pubic hair and she loves the kissing and licking of a partner. And her love juice is abundant, but it's salty to the taste and acidic. And so you can't let men tell you these. Yes, your diet is important, but your yoni also has a makeup that is for your yoni. And so you can't change that. So I'm just hearing from the goddess Earlene, and she says she's going to be late. So I'm excited that she's coming on. I know on All Hallows Eve that she is really, really busy. So I'm going to be happy when she gets here. But anyway, the Shankini, her love juice is abundant and it's said to be salty or acidic. So, when men are saying, oh, you got a bad diet, that's part of the aspect of things. But the truth of the matter is your yoni is shaped a certain way, behaves a certain way, smells a certain way, and tastes a certain way based upon your makeup from the heavenlies. And then the Hastini, which fortunately I've never seen it, thank God, in person. It's pretty frightening yoni, but it's a powerful yoni indeed. And this is the one they call the elephant woman. And it literally looks like a trunk of an elephant almost. It's where you can't really distinguish the urethra, the clitoris, and the labia. It all just kind of looks like an elephant trunk. But this woman enjoys a lot of stimulation from her clitoris, and this is the one with the musky perspiration in her yoni that kind of, they said, smells like an elephant's forehead. Once again, in India, they would know what an elephant's forehead smells like. I personally don't. So, as I go through my studies, I recognize that women, we're all different in our own right. We're doing so much to change ourselves. And when we do that change, we're not able to manifest in the proper energy because we're not in the proper design that we were born in. We've altered it or changed it. And so we've kind of taken away from that energy that's stored up in that sacral chakra. You can't, your root chakra is back there by your buttocks, right there at the bottom base of your pubic bone, and you want to go and get injections all in your behind, and you're changing your energy and you don't realize this. And so the 3 different temperaments of the woman are the kapha, which is the temperament, and she has a yoni that is described as cool and hard and fleshy and delicate. And the Vata woman has a temperament that has a yoni that isn't smooth, but it's rough like the tongue of a cow. And see, I look at yonis all the time, and I never even knew that they had texture. Why? Because I'm not a man, and so I've never experienced one, or I'm not a woman who loves women, and so I've never experienced one. And then the Pitta is the temperament, and it has a yoni that is soft, hot, and relaxed. And so I was even going on, and I'm like, I'm a Pitta woman. My temperament is soft, hot, and relaxed in my yoni. Now, this is your yoni temperament. And here's the thing. A lot of men get confused because they think like, a woman that's super, super hot in her yoni, and they get in there and they ejaculate. A lot of times this is a woman that actually has repelling energy, and what she's attempting to do is just hurry up and let the intercourse get over. And a lot of times, men, you all think that this is, you hear men say, man, it was so good, man, I barely could hold myself. A lot of times you don't realize that you're in a combat zone, that this yoni is not user friendly. This yoni is manifesting an energy of toxicity to get rid of you. And then you walk away and you go to another woman and you lay with her and you give her that energy. This is the thing with the sacred energy exchange. It is energy. It just transfers from one thing to another. So a lot of men on the planet are wondering why so many women have attitudes. And it's just because you all are transferring this energy, this source energy, all the way around. You're going over to women's house, you're having intercourse with them, and 4 hours later you're going to another woman's house, you're having intercourse with her, and you don't understand why they are, quote unquote, both tripping. But this is the reason why, because you're transferring that energy between all of you. And so a lot of people are into this upward coupling now. And women are on Facebook asking for wife-in-laws, and it's pretty sad when you don't have enough energy that you have to advertise your relationship because you think it's trendy to lay down with another woman. But here's the thing. Once again, you're going to be laying down with an energy source. And if that woman is toxic, she's going to tear your relationship apart. And if that woman is powerful, she's going to take your relationship, because you're bringing something into your home that you're not aware of. You're bringing a force into your home. And so the three kinds are the migri, and that's the female gazelle. That's a woman with a deep yoni, 6 fingers deep, that is cool like the moon and has the smell of a lotus flower. And so here's the thing. When I'll go to talk about the lingams later, there's actually specific types of lingams for specific types of yonis. And so those guys that tell you, ladies, that your yoni's too big and wide, nope, they're 4 inches. But here's the thing. Depending on the shape and the depth of yours, if he has a deer lingam and he comes in there trying to operate, he's not going to be able to get very far, and so he will start to spread the rumor that you're big and loose and all these other things, because it was the wrong type of tower of light for your sacred space. And then you have the Vadma or the Ashvini, and this woman has a yoni that is 9 fingers deep. 9. And it's freely flowing with yellow juices with the scent of sesame. So she's got sort of a nutty smell to her. And you can get 9 fingers in there deep, And also we have the Harini, the elephant woman. And this is a woman with 12 fingers deep with abundant juices that smells like elephant musk. Once again, I don't know what an elephant smells like, but they look like they would smell pretty bad. But there is a certain type of pheromone that is in this yoni that can drive men wild. That's in every yoni. And then it's also the type that can turn a man off. And so this is the thing. When we don't understand what our sacral energy is for, and we just start passing it around, this is how we get into the situations where we are with someone who isn't pleasing to us. And so you have to really understand that there's a science in the heavenlies to all of this. And when you don't operate from a metaphysical place and you just operate from a physical space, you're going to encounter energies and entities that don't serve you. And that's when you get into the STEs, the sexually transmitted energies. And so I really want to encourage you all tonight. Get into a sacred space, take in 5 deep breaths, and just call out into the multiverse, me. Pull in that Venus energy tonight before you go into the bedroom, before you have any type of worship with another person. Have some worship with yourself. You need to get in touch with your yoni. She's trying to tell you something. If you're having discharges or you're having odors that are unfamiliar to you with your partner, there is something going on in and around your relationship. And so it's not just all about these things where people think eat pineapple juice and no, that isn't the case. Your yoni, the lingam has a specific smell. And that smell is going to change based upon what you eat. However, the distinctive smell that is there is going to be the prevalent smell. And so as men used to worship the yoni and everything that went along with her, it was a powerful, powerful place on this planet. And as we walked into this patriarchal society, and it seemed as if the woman started to be cast down, she started to be told things like, she wasn't supposed to have pubic hair. She wasn't supposed to have a yoni that looked this way or had this shape. She wasn't supposed to have more than one man for the rest of her life. Why? Because they wanted to make sure that the power was placed in a cuckold. Because goddess worship was something that was very serious on many, many continents. And so we need to understand that whether you want to call it, the yoni, which is the sacred space, whether you want to call it the P word, whether you want to call it the beaver, the bunny, the cat, the squirrel, the muff, whatever you want to call it, it's still a sacred space. And so based upon how you call it is how you'll treat it. I no longer call my yoni by those names that were out in the public forum. I used to say them when I was ignorant to what I was carrying. Now that I know what I'm carrying, I also make sure that I let myself know that I'm carrying something that is sacred. I'm carrying something that is sacred, something that I don't want to share with everyone because I don't want to infect my temple. I don't want to do it. I want to make sure that I have enough power for myself when it's over with. And so tonight, as we want to get into being able to manifest, the first thing you want to do is understand that manifesting is not necessary to have a partner. It isn't necessary for you to lay down with a man or woman or whatever. You can do that by yourself. I am not a fan of it because I'm not a self-pleaser. And so, but in Tantra, it is something that you can do. You want to make sure that you understand that you are supposed to release your endorphins daily. You're not supposed to, I don't know what is with people with these 1 day a week sexual experiences. No, you are supposed to release those happy endorphins daily. So this is where you get into the self-pleasuring and the masturbation and things like that people do, which is perfectly normal. It makes you more relaxed. It makes you calm. It makes you happy. And when you're happy, you become magnetic. You vibrate on a different frequency, and it draws people to you, and it also draws opportunities to you. So ladies, if you're stagnant in your energy, you want to ask yourself, when's the last time you had a really good release of your happy hormone? Yes, when did you have your O phase? When did you last have an orgasm? And what did you feel after the orgasm? See, a lot of times women are orgasming in an energy of anger, or in a masculine energy, or in an energy of shame or guilt. So it's like when you have the orgasm, it's the immediate after the orgasm that you want to check into. So a lot of women, after they orgasm, they cry, but they're not crying because of happiness. The endorphins release, they get confused, they're not certain what's going on, what's vibrating, and some tears come out. The tears come out because you needed to release. The tears come out because you needed that space of pleasure, but instead you mustered up some pain. And so you want to get to a space, if you are having those types of reactions, you want to start to give yourself to more pleasure. You want to make sure that you're in a healthy relationship. And if you're in a healthy relationship, you want to go through the sensuality very properly by saying that you are here for pleasure. You want to set the intention, and you want to make sure that you don't bring the pain up, because that isn't what you're doing. You're seeking your pleasure hormone. And so I have a caller. Caller, are you on the air?
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. I'm great. How are you? I don't like to say people's names without them saying it for themselves. So if you want, welcome to Grown Folks Business, and you can tell us who you are.
My name is Kay, and I'm calling from Toronto, Canada.
Wow, Canada. Hi, Kay. How are you?
Not bad. I'm enjoying your show so far.
Oh, thank you. Did you have anything in particular about your yoni that you wanted to discuss?
I wanted to touch on a couple of points that you just mentioned a few moments ago about pleasuring yourself and then releasing those endorphins. I just wanted to make a quick comment on that.
Sure.
Strangely, like lately I've been watching this show with someone close to me, and it's on Netflix. It's about the journey of Buddha and how he came to become Buddha. And when I think about pleasuring oneself and releasing the energies of the sacral chakra, it's not just about sex. It's about those feelings of enjoyment, those feelings that we had when we were in the energy of our inner child.
Absolutely.
When we were living in that magic of life where everything is amazing and you want to learn and you have that curiosity. It's that juicy energy of life, that magic of life energy that I think people need to work on, kind of,
Yes, and that's where you got to. That's where I was going. As I said, I'm not a self-pleasurer in the form of touch. I pleasure myself in meditation. And so a lot of my callers that I talk with, they're not in that space. They don't even know what meditation is. They think it's pausing with a potato chip in their hand. And so I go over the sexual energy exchange first, because that's what all my emails and things are about. But for me, I'm with you. I am working towards enlightenment, which is the space of the Buddha. And so, no, I don't release my endorphins through touching myself. That's a very primitive way of releasing your hormones. I can do them simply with a thought process, and I can simply do them with a chant, and I can release myself in that manner. I finished before I did the show. I was in reading and meditation, and oh my gosh, the room got hot, and it was powerful. And the thing is, I was in a reading with two women that are in same-sex relationships. And so I'm heterosexual and they are in same-sex relationships. And in that moment, in that meditation, there was just the energy. No one was touching anyone. The energy in the room fell, and everyone was pretty much orgasming. and it was funny because they were embarrassed. And this is the thing that I want women to know. No one touched anyone. No one did anything, but these women were embarrassed. And so that's where I want people to get to understand what's happening right after your pleasure. because a lot of women are carrying so much pain that when their pleasure comes, they immediately quelch it, shut it down, and become almost childlike that it even happened. But this is the power of the yoni. This is the all mother creation, and I used to think before I became a Daikini and a Tantrika that you had to touch yourself. And I just was so against that coming out of sexual trauma. I was like, I'm not that attracted to me like that. And then it happened in pregnancy on its own. And I started releasing in pregnancy on my own. I literally cried and went to the doctor because I didn't know why I was having all these orgasms just pregnant. I was so embarrassed and shamed. But at that time, my spirit was ready for the information, and my doctor was a holistic doctor, and she said, Sierra, you need to release the pain, and the way you release it is within the pleasure. And so I was like, how do I do that? And she said, when you feel the pain coming, put joy on top of it. And so as I began to do that, because it's the polarity, and that's what people don't recognize, as much pain as you want to be in, much more joy can you be in. And that is what is beautiful about this manifesting. A lot people are right now, I'm going to tell you, it's so sad to me, Kay, the amount of women that think they're supposed to lay in the bed with anything. I mean, it's tragic that they don't realize that their happiness and their release comes from them. And because I used to be a woman, now I wasn't laying in the bed with anything. I was laying in the bed with my husband, but I didn't know that my happiness didn't come from him. I didn't know that. I had no idea that I was responsible for what I was creating in my universe. And that when I stepped out into the multiverse, it was going to give me back what I had created. And so I created in my universe depression. And when I walked out into the multiverse, I got depression. I had created in my universe no orgasm. And when my husband came into my universe, there was no orgasm. You understand what I'm saying? So the multiverse is all inclusive. It's only giving you yeses. So even for your negative energy, you get a yes, you may have that. A lot of people don't understand how the law of attraction works. And so, while you're in the womb, which is the place of creation, the process of manifestation is sparked. You are a manifestation. We are a manifestation of a spoken word. And, it's so sad that we don't understand that this stuff is already encoded in our DNA. We're using a very powerful sacral chakra to do a very pitiful act, and I say that, not saying that sex is pitiful, but a lot of people are having very pitiful sex right now.
If you don't mind, I'd like to comment on a couple of things that you on. When it comes to partners and engaging in the sexual act, first I just want to say I feel that in our modern time, like you said, we're participating in the sexual act in a very primitive way, and we're not really respecting the sacred divine aspect of sex. That's just comment number one. Number two, I feel that
I'm getting an orgasm off you talking. Yes. Go ahead and spill it, Kay.
As we're talking about manifestation, like a lot of scientists, who specialize in this area of sexual reproduction, they say that sex happens in the mind first and not in the physical. And again, going back to my first point, because we're approaching sex in this modern era from a very primitive standpoint, as you said, it's like we're not connecting in the mind. And they say spiritually, when you're with a partner, you got to connect from the crown to the root, not from the root to the crown. So we're doing everything ass backwards.
Yes,
we're not engaging in the proper way. If you're connected to your man, your woman, whomever, through the mind, voice, which is, truth of authentic expression, communication, and then heart-centeredness, you're not going to have that sexual release, that sacred power move, that kundalini energy move through you properly. It's going to be blocked. And we're dealing with a society that's extremely sexually repressed,
Yes.
because of the monotheistic religions. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, no, you don't have to be sorry. Spill it. Spill it.
But yeah, I'm sorry, but all these monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, in the last 1,000 years of human civilization, they've succeeded in two major things. Number one, killing the sacred feminine. Number two, ruining people's connection to their own sexual power.
Yes.
And this is what is the key to us transforming as a society. We need to feel okay with our sexual expression, number one. And then number two, we need to not allow the media industry that is controlled by these elitist people tell us what is hot, what is not, how you need to look like to please a man or woman, all these kind of things. Because a lot of people are getting ideas on how to have sex from watching porn or watching movies.
Girl. Yes. Listen, people, I'm enjoying, okay. I'm being asked, are you a Scorpio as well?
Oh, yes.
I'm a Scorpio as well. So look at that energy coming out. My birthday was Friday. And so, yes. Oh, okay, yes. I'm October the 27th, and I'm telling you, yes, are you both Scorpios? It's true, and that's the thing. People don't understand that. They always say, oh, Scorpios are freaks, Scorpios are sexual. Scorpios are sensual. That's the first thing. We have to tune into your frequency, baby, and if we tune in, it's prime time live. It's on and popping, and a lot of people don't understand that because they think because we do it so well, because we're fixed water people, we're nothing but pure emotion. And so we have to connect from that spiritual level. On the board it says, as a Capricorn, I'm having a good time. My kids are Capricorns and they're just weirdos. So I don't know what you're over there doing.
Quickly, I'm actually an astrologer as well, so I want to touch on Scorpio energy as being a Scorpio myself.
Oh yeah, you can definitely touch on it because I could go all day on it. But yes, I would love to hear your expertise on that.
Yeah, so to put it simply, when you look at the energy of Scorpio and how it relates to its sister signs, Cancer and Pisces. Cancer and Pisces, it's like a moving flow of energy. It's an expansion energy, especially with Pisces. It's unconditional love and all this imagination and all this stuff. Scorpio is very different. I was going to say opposite, but that'll be Taurus. Scorpio is very different. It's like a pond, a still pond of water. Mm-hmm. And when a pond is still, especially in freshwater areas, it's dark. You cannot see the bottom of that water. And that's the energy of Scorpio. It's so deep and so dark. Most people are afraid to step into that water and dive deep. But that's the gift of Scorpio is we dive deep into everything.
Yes.
And especially when we're with a partner, we want to dive to the deepest depths of their soul. We want to understand their dark, their light. We want to understand the good, the bad, and
everything. The ugly. Right. The good, the bad, and ugly. And when it comes to that, being fixed water, yes, it is hard, to shift. It's hard to shift. But I think the beautiful thing and what I love about being a Scorpio is that the moment I recognize in the depths of that water that you talked about that I'm not right, I'm easily shifted. But I'm going to go deep to make sure that I'm not right before I relent. And so I love that about myself. I don't get it. I tell people a lot of times they say something and I say, I'm a Scorpio. I'm sort of like what you'd be from Missouri. I'm the show me state. You got to show me. You know what I'm saying? But the moment that I see that I'm not right, I'm easily shifted. And so a lot of people say, we're stubborn, we're bullheaded. I only find that true about the Taurus. And these Aquarius people, I find that true about them, a little bit bullheaded and stubborn and not really light. Now I've heard that the Libra is the best relationship energy. Can you just really quick, I know I'm off topic because I find all of them to be suspect and weird, but they claim that Libra is the best energy for relationship. Is that so?
I can't generalize and make those kind of statements because ultimately when you're looking at an individual, when you're looking at a chart, you're looking at all these different kinds of angles and different configurations. I'm not going to say any sign is better than the other. I think everybody can be great. It's about how they balance their energy. But if you want to get technical, Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus is beauty,
Right.
arts,
Exactly.
the way we love, how we love others, like all these kind of things, and it rules the arts in astrology, and so, and yeah, divine. It also rules divine feminine. It controls diplomacy, all these kind of things. So Venus in Libra is about finding a balance, finding a harmony, and Libras really love to be in relationships. They like to be in partnership. They find that they're at their most center when they're in a relationship.
Yeah, I find it to be weird. I was with the Libra, and yes, it was like the love of my life, but just really chaotic and goofy. And I was just like, I can't with this. My Venus is in Virgo, so but Virgos are very critical and analytical, and I'm anal in that regard, and my Venus is in Virgo. So if a man lights up my Venus, I'm just all abeam as a Scorpio, and I love it. But back to the matter at hand, I'm so glad you called in. And I see, ladies, this is what I'm talking about. As she was talking, I just laid back in my chair and I let her energy flow over the airways, and I was in ecstasy. I was in ecstasy. And this is the thing, because I'm connecting with her on an energetic, cerebral level. I'm not sitting in front of her. We're not touching one another physically, but she's touching through my body system and through my mental, and I'm connected with her, and it's in La Kesha Lakin. I am one with her in that moment, and we have that connection. And so I myself, coming out of extreme, I was devout. I was so Christian that Jesus had to break up with me. I always tell people that, because Jesus was like, listen, I quit you. You a bad representation of me, and people say, what does that mean? I still am a believer, but I had to get out of those constructs of trying to kill everybody who didn't believe what I believe. That is such an ugly quality. And so, as I started to study more and give myself to more education, I found out that I had been duped in a lot of ways. And so I had to go back and correct that energy and get myself together. And so I'm thankful for my belief systems, and I'm thankful for what other people believe now, because we're all being led. We're all being led. And the thing is, how I'm being led isn't how you're being led. And that's the beautiful thing about this living situation, because we're all here to work out our own aspects of our own karma and our own energies. And so when we meet that with opposing force, opposition only brings opposition. You don't get a person to surrender in that energy. You only get a battle in that energy. And that's why in this patriarchal society, we have wars and rumors of wars, because everyone's running around with their lingam saying mine is bigger than yours. And the sad part is, when the women could be laid back and connected and really bursting forth the manifestation of peace, we are somewhere being men. We're somewhere in masculine energy, acting a fool. We are the creation of this planet, the goddess, ladies. And we have so much power. We're not supposed to be running around with our fists up in the air and all over the ground being drugged by police and all. So we can sit back and open our legs in pranayama, lay back with that yoni tilted forward, and baby, shut down World War III before it even started. We were like, wait a minute, there's a war going on. And listen, this war there's so many things. This is the thing, when you are in an all-inclusive multiverse, and you say things like war, there's a war on drugs, a war on this, a war on that, it creates the environment of war.
Yes.
And so that is what is manifesting, is war. If you say it's a pandemic, it has to have victims in order to be a pandemic. If you say it's an epidemic, it has to have victims. If you're campaigning for cancer, then there has to be participants for the campaign. You all have messed up the law of attraction to the point that you don't even realize what you're attracting. But how you can combat that is through the use of the Kundalini energy, and not the wasting and the spilling of it all over city bathrooms and computer screens. It's like if I was to pull out a black light in some of you brothers' houses. Oh my God. It was just, you need to hold your ching. You need to hold your seed of life. Stop spilling it all over the place. I mean, just good grief. Brothers, stop it. I'm doing a social experiment right now. It's kind of bad, Kay. But I had to see what was really going on with our men. So yesterday, Spirit said to me, go on Tinder. I don't really know what it is. I did it before for business, and some guys really got mad, and they said, are you on here promoting your business? I said, well, yes, as a sexual wellness coach, if you're on a dating site, it means you don't have anybody to have sex with, and you probably need some coaching. So I'm here. They were pretty upset about that, so I was off pretty quickly. But yesterday, I went on for a different aspect to see what was going on with men. Here was the thing. Not one man read my profile. So it literally was about them just looking at my face. Yeah. And they swiped because I was beautiful. They did not know whether I wrote that I was a man. They didn't know whether I wrote if I liked women. They didn't know whether I wrote if I was asexual. They had no idea. Every single question that came forward that men that talked to me was, so what do you do for a living? It was all in my profile. They never read it. And so my response was, oh, did you not read my profile? ? Then they would go back and read it. The conversation immediately got dry because they realized, oh, she's not having sex. And so I could not believe that so many men were willing to look at my picture and just give me their lingam. I couldn't believe it. I mean, Kay, I was in shock. It was so sad that the minute that they realized that I wasn't coming over for sex, they stopped talking to me. Person
very
you
sad
didn't
reality.
even know, a person who you didn't know what I was carrying with me energetically, nor did you know what I was carrying with me physically. I said, this is terrible. And so I talked with a gentleman, and he told me, oh, when I was on Tinder, it was just about how many women I could sleep with. And I said, really?
Wow.
He said, it became a sport to me. It became a game to me. And I asked him, do you realize how sad you sound? And he said, yes, I do. But to think that I don't know where this has gone off the rails. I don't want to blame anyone. It's the conditionings right now that we're under. Like you said, pornography is available. Listen, my child was looking. He's 9 years old. I had to cut off all of the computer implements in this house because one of the children at his school, he's in 4th grade, told him about something called YouPorn. And so my child came home and Googled it. And, it asks you, are you 18? They don't read anymore, so they just click yes for everything. Yes. I can't tell you how many subscriptions my kids have given me, not reading, just clicking yes. And so I done paid for YouTube Red and all of this and Apple Music and all these types of things that they have just subscribed to just because they want to see what's behind the big thing on the screen that's asking you the question. So they just click yes, and I'm paying for something. And so I'm hearing right now as I interview, young people that are 18 and 19 years old, staggeringly, they're telling me that they saw porn at around 8 or 9 years old.
Wow. And that's, you know what? This is where I need to jump in. I wanted to make a quick comment on what you were saying about the dating sites. I'm in the media industry, and since I got into the media industry in 2007, it's been my dream and my goal to use the power of media and whatever I learned through being in the corporate media world and applying it to putting out positive media that's going to help shift our consciousness. Right. So when we look at the media industry that is controlled by just a few companies, essentially, I can't give you all their names. I can't remember all that right now. I don't even know. They're not even worth saying their names on live radio, actually. Right. But, so essentially, like, the mainstream media, the way in which they portray sex and love and how we connect to another human being is shallow. It's materialistic. We're living in a very materialistic society, that which, in which their value systems are upside down. We value what someone looks like, how much they make, their social status, all these things. How
You're
many
not
friends they
lying, because
have.
there were guys who said, I got a good job. I have my own car. I'm only 5'8" if height matters. It was like so sad the way that their profiles were. They were all what you're saying right now, materialistic and physical
Yes,
based.
very
All of them.
shallow. Like me being the Scorpio that I am, I always got to dive deep. So I'm
Yes.
gonna dive
I got on my
right now.
scuba gear right now.
Yeah, like right now, like, people need to relearn how to look past all these shallow things. Materialism disappears. You don't die with that. That can change in a heartbeat. Someone can lose their job and there goes their fancy Beamer and their big ass house.
Yep,
It could be gone just like that. So people need to relearn how to connect from the crown chakra to the root chakra, which is connecting to the intellect, freedom of speech, and heart. If you cannot
And
do
here's
that,
the
you're not
thing,
going to
though.
have a good relationship at all.
Right. And here's the thing. You need to connect there first with yourself.
That is the key.
With yourself, between you and spirit, you need to connect there first, with the goddess or the God that is within. It isn't without. I know they've taught you that is something that you cannot tangibly reach. That is a lie. That's a myth. They've separated you from yourself. And you don't understand that. So you're crying out into the distance to something that never answers because it's within. And when you spend all of your time without and you start looking for something to fill the void that you just got locked up inside of you that you can't tap into because you're so disconnected to your connection.
Yes.
And it's like you just got to go in there. And, I remember back in the day when I used to tell myself that I couldn't fix anything. I used to tell myself that because I was a girl, and I had all these stereotypical beliefs about what pretty girls could do and what pretty girls couldn't do. Listen, I can now change. Back in the day when they had it, I could change the daggone tire. I could change the oil. I can change the daggone carburetor when they had them. I knew how to change the timing belt because I got over being a pretty girl who couldn't do anything when I started getting broke. And so I remember when something wasn't working at my house, I didn't check. I didn't believe that I could do it. You see what I'm saying? I just called maintenance. And guess what, people? I had to pay $120 deductible for the man to plug it up. He had to plug it up. That was it. And I still had to pay for him to come out. And I was embarrassed. But I had looked for something outward to fix what was right in front of my face. It was unplugged. And so I say that to say, go within and see that you are simply unplugged and plug it up. Plug it up. Turn yourself back on. Get into your meditations. Stop all of this praying. Sometimes you got to shut up so that you can hear. You got to meditate. Even the Bible tells you prayer and meditation. It tells you about devotion. Listen, where's your gratitude? There's no more gratitude in society. Everybody's mad. Everybody's angry. I looked at a video yesterday, Goddess, and I'm going to tell you, this young man, he was in a mall. He had on a nice suit and everything. And there was a young lady that he was with, and she had on like booty shorts and, something else. And, an attractive girl, I suppose it was the side of her face. But he was all decked out. And he said, he basically did a proposal. He said, I want to ask you to marry me. I finally want to make you mine after 4 years. Blah, blah. The look on her face was utter terror. And I tapped in, and Spirit says, she doesn't know her worth, so she can't understand how he does. And I was like, what? And she was so baffled and so puzzled. He was down on his knee with the ring out, and she was just looking at him as if to say, what in the hell is wrong with you? Do you not see me? I am a mess. And so she was so confused. Now, this gentleman said that they had been together for 4 years. And so somebody said to her, just go ahead and walk away. And she walked away, leaving him there holding the ring. When they turned around to the audience, everybody was laughing. Everybody was laughing and slapping high five and laughing at this gentleman's pain.
That's terrible.
It is a terrible day when we live in a society where compassion is dead. There was one gentleman. Now, this young man was a black man. There was one white gentleman who came out of the crowd and picked him up off the ground and embraced him. Everyone was still laughing.
Yeah, that's quite disgusting.
It was really sad, but this is the society that we're living in because everybody's praying and nobody is shutting up and hearing. No one is hearing the response. When I looked at her face, I clearly knew that she wasn't going to marry him, but he didn't because he was performing for the crowd. He was not really paying attention to her. He was, been together for 4 years, baby, and I'm ready to wife you up and blah, blah. And he was really putting it on, and he never saw that she was falling apart. And she was just stunned. And I thought to myself, 4 years, what were you waiting for, young lady? What were you waiting for? And here's the thing. In that moment where she had to choose her king, she decided that she wasn't a queen. It wasn't about the man. In that very moment, she recognized that she didn't know herself. Mm-hmm. She had just spent 4 years with somebody, and when it came time to marry him, she couldn't. I give praise to the goddess for going within and recognizing that she didn't want to be his wife. You see what I'm saying? I would have been a bit more gracious and probably said yes and then told him no in the car. But she was stunned and in shock. And it was a mall full of people. It was very, very tragic. We are living in a society now where everything is microwaved. I want it now. If you want pornography, it's on your tablet, on your phone, on your computer. Mm-hmm. It's even on your smart TV. You understand what I'm saying? If you want a false connection, they got all types of trinkets that you can buy to stick your lingam in or rub on top of your yoni. I saw a man, as I did research for the show, he had a butt and it was just hips and a butt and it was on a countertop. And he said he was doing a review and he was having intercourse with latex, hip, and butt. And I thought to myself, as a sexual wellness coach, I was saying, he's not well. he is not well. I want to give him my number. He's not well. But this brother was going to town, holding it. I mean, and the latex, the type of latex it was moving like real flesh. It was a bit creepy. I wasn't going to get down to ordering one so I could actually touch it, but he didn't seem to need a woman at all. That brother seemed quite content doing what he needed to do with that hips and butt. And women, the sale of vibrators and CBN machines are up. Now, women, when you lay down and you let a weight bench and a drill have intercourse with you, listen, I don't care what they call the thing. It's a weight bench and a drill with a dildo on it. and you got your legs up in the air and you're just letting this thing plow you, and men are standing by, capable men, letting a machine utilize your body. I just don't know, honestly, Kay, where we have come. I don't even know. I won't say that out loud because I don't want the law of attraction to apply to me, but I'm meditating now to know where we need to go to come out of this energy, because you're a woke sister and I'm woke and I get it. And when I say woke, folks, I'm talking about everyone has consciousness, but you have to be awakened in a certain way in the Kundalini rising manner to get this. You're not going to be getting this in your, in your
density energy.
Right. You're not going to get this in your low vibration energy. You're not going to crip walk and get it. You know what I'm saying? This comes from awakening in your Kundalini. And so I've had that experience. This sister has clearly had that experience and she understands, what it takes. And here's the thing, ladies. As I get ready to close, if you are not in a proper relationship, get out. There's nothing wrong with doing what Kay and I talked about tonight, which is getting into that happy place by yourself.
Yeah, the magic of life space.
Yes.
I also want to touch on something like real quick before you close the program. I feel that like we're at a time in our human civilization. We've gone through many cycles of energy. We watch this with astrology. I feel like right now we're in a period of time where both the masculine and feminine energies, the sacred male and female energies, are confused, and trying to remember what it is to be a man, try to remember what it is to be a female, and then to bring those energies together. And I feel that we're going to continue to see this dysfunction and this disconnect until the collective subconscious mind is ready to reemerge again and step out of the shadow and, you know, reintegrate.
I feel you. And I think it's happening day by day. You know, I'm thankful for my connection with you tonight. I appreciate you calling Grown Folks Business. I needed this tonight because I really, sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself, and to have another goddess show up on the same pathways is just the beauty of spirit. And I'm I literally sat here and I need a bath. Ladies and gentlemen, she gave me life tonight. I need a bath. I feel good, and my happy hormone is released, and I feel really good about that. So I just want to thank you so much, Kay, from Canada, for calling in. Listen, it's in Canada, folks. Why, you know, what's the problem that it can't be right in your neck of the woods? But this is Goddess Sierra. We give love and light to the Goddess Arlene, who couldn't make it tonight, as she works with that All Hallows Eve energy. But I thank you, ladies. Raise your Kundalini. Get to manifesting that happiness within. And we'll see you next week live again on Grown Folks Business. You can catch me on SierraTorres.com or at 254-466-3965. And really quick, Kay, do you do readings or anything like that, or astrology reports for people?
I do. They can find me at KLoveTruth on Facebook and just inbox my page there, or go to www.ksterling.ca.
.ca?
That's correct.
Okay, that's a new one. I guess that's Canada. Hadn't heard that one yet. So reach out, folks, and you know this will be on my YouTube channel if you missed her address. We love you. Peace and light. Raise that Kundalini tonight.
Of your heartaches, I can show you better, baby. I can show you better, baby. I can look in your soul and see it. You've been let down, been so mistreated. Too many fuck boys that's so conceited. And you could use a break, I know you need it. If you're in need, you can call up. And you ain't gotta have your wall up. I know you're sick of the ballers. Every time you come around, got your guard up. Girl, I think you're royalty, and you deserve nothing less than my loyalty. You